Hello and welcome, my dear friends of Rajeshwar, class 10 ABC. Today again, myself Prabhat Sharma is present before you, highlighting the main points of footprints without feet. Chapter 5 of our supplementary reader. So, two boys on London street are amazed to see fresh muddy footprints without seeing who was making them. Okay, so the boys are seeing the footprints, but they are not able to recognize. So, very much amazed, they are surprised who is making this footprints now. So, actually, it is Mr. Griffin, the scientist, who makes these footprints uh, while he was walking invisibly. So, Griffin was a scientist who has discovered how to be invisible and transparent. Okay, so this is our scientist, Mr. Griffin, who has taken some solution, chemicals, which has made his body invisible. Nobody can see him. Okay, he has become transparent now, right? But the landlord is very much fed up with this person and he wants this person, Griffin, to leave the house. Okay, so he tells him to vacate the house, eject from the house. Now, Griffin, he sets the landlord's house on fire. Okay, let us see. So, Griffin gets very much annoyed with the landlord, and as a revenge, yes, he gets very much angry with the landlord. Ferocious, terrible anger. And he sets landlord's house on fire and flees after making himself invisible when the latter demanded rent. So he was not able to pay the rent even. And he was and to hide, Griffin enters a big store to get warm. He puts on new clothes, eats meat, and takes coffee. He then goes to sleep on a pile of quilts in the store. Now he's invisible over there. The assistants of the store find him in the morning, and the Griffin removes his clothes to escape from the assistants, and again he becomes invisible. This is London City, London Bridge, you can see on the River Thames, and it's a winter morning. Griffin is running naked in order to save himself. He is invisible, his footprints are seen, but he is not seen at all. Now Griffin enters a theoretical company and wears the bandages on his face, dark glasses, and a false nose, and a bushy side whiskers. He robs the shopkeeper of his money and escapes to remote Epping village by train to avoid being caught. देखिए पैर दिख रहे हैं उसके पैर के निशान बट ही इज नॉट विजिबल ही इज द इनविजिबल मैन now he enters the theoretical company or the mall, you can see. And he tries to find out some clothes for himself. He wears bandages on his face, dark glasses, and also a false nose, along with a bushy side whiskers. And he robs the shopkeeper of his money. जहाँ से सारा सामान लेता है वहीं पर वो चोरी कर देता है, बिकॉज ही इज इनविजिबल, nobody can see him. But it is cold winter in London. He cannot remain without clothes for long. And secondly, he is invisible, so everybody can not see him. And they keep on colliding with him. That's a very risk. He can come under a truck or a bus. And every now and then nobody can see him, so he is collided by other people. So here you see he robs the shopkeeper of his money. And then he thinks going to a small village, a remote village. The name of the village is Iping, and he goes there by train. So to avoid being caught, nobody can come to that village. Not many people go to the village during this winters. So he leaves this London city of London, and he reaches in the remote village, a faraway village, a less known village, and the name of the village is Iping. And there, Mrs. Halls is there. He takes 2 rooms on rent in Mrs. Hall's inn. He tells her that he had an accident and wears bandages due to it. He also tells her that he doesn't want to be disturbed. एकांत प्रिय व्यक्ति है ना, he is a scientist and he wants to do the experiments, so please don't disturb. Okay, and he says he will pay all the money. Don't worry about the payment of the money to Mrs. Halls. So this is the photograph of the invisible man along with Mrs. Halls, the innkeeper, though is the landlady. You can see all the bandages are there and he's having sunglasses on, and so that nobody can see that he is invisible. He takes 2 rooms on rent. Okay. But soon the money is finished and Griffin robs a clergyman's house being invisible. So it doesn't take long for him. And he thinks the money is over. So he robs a person. Clergyman is a church person who is in charge of a church. Okay. Who is the minister in the church. So as soon as his money is finished, and Griffin robs a clergyman's house being invisible. And a lot of scene is created at the clergyman's house. In the morning he sees the drawer is opening, the gate, the door is opening, and the sound of the opening is there, but they cannot see any person, any thief over there. And the robbery is being taken place in the house. But can't help. Why? Because the thief is invisible. They cannot see the clergyman and his wife. And they are very much suspecting, who the hell is this? What's happening now? And he robs all the money. He takes the money from the clergyman. Okay. And he himself remains invisible. And now in the inn also, Mrs. Hall enters his room and is dazed to be attacked by Griffin. And Mrs. Hall thinks that this room is haunted now. चारों तरफ सामान बिखरा पड़ा है, चीज़ें उड़ उड़ के मार रही हैं मिसेस हॉल्स को, उनके हस्बैंड को. ओके. पर कोई फ़ायदा नहीं, कोई दिख नहीं रहा है कि ये चीज़ें कैसे हो रही है. ऐसा लगता है कि ये सब सामान, कोई भूत है इस कमरे में, कोई स्पिरिट्स है. इट इज़ बीइंग हॉन्टेड. लुक, सोफ़ा उड़ के लग रहा है, गमले उड़ रहे हैं. है जी. यस. So Mrs. Hall is very much astonished, surprised, taken aback, thinks that this room is haunted now. The evil spirits have taken over the room. And she is surprised, obviously. The clergyman reports burglary to the police, and Griffin is suspected to have committed it. The village constable, Mr. Jaffers, is called to arrest Griffin on suspicion. तो ये तो आखिर में कांस्टेबल को बुला लेती है मैडम, और क्लर्जीमैन भी बताता है कि यही हो सकता है, ग्रिफिन ही है जो चोर है, साइंटिस्ट है जो चोरी कर रहा है. तो वो क्या करते हैं जी, आखिर में वो बुला लेते हैं पुलिस को. Now this Griffin gets very much annoyed, and Griffin is asked to explain all the unusual happenings as he is suspected to be behind these. And he loses his temper and he becomes invisible. Okay. So he takes off his bandages, his head. So initially he becomes a headless person. Okay. So you can see बिना सर का व्यक्ति, and the constable is very much trying to do his duty, but Jaffers, the constable, he tries to arrest Griffin, but he is unable. He gets hurt, injured in the process, and Griffin kicks off Jaffers unconscious, and he runs away, and Jaffers cannot arrest Griffin. Being invisible, he takes the advantage. The Griffin, the scientist, takes the advantage, and he runs from that place, and injuring and hurting everybody who is coming in contact. So that he can be free and nobody can subdue over him. So this was a story. So in the end, Jaffers becomes unconscious, and there were cries of hold on, but Griffin had freed himself because no one knew where to lay hand on him. तो सच्चाई सबके सामने थी, लेकिन वो अदृश्य था. He was not seen by anyone. Okay. So, what is our impression of Griffin? That Griffin is a bad person. He has more negative qualities and almost none of the positive qualities. And truly, he is a lawless person. He is not a true scientist as he has misused his scientific discovery. He does antisocial activities. He runs away after becoming invisible. He enters a London store and steals various things. Then he flees to Epping village and steals money from the clergyman's house. He also sets the house on fire before it. People call Mr. Jaffers the village constable in Epping. The constable tries to catch him, but Griffin becomes invisible. Now he is a headless person. There occurs a fight between Griffin and Mr. Jaffers and the people. But as I have told you earlier, Griffin escapes because he has an advantage. He is invisible. So all his activities show that Griffin has almost no good qualities at all. So, although Griffin was a brilliant scientist, yet he misused his discovery. That's what we are seeing here. A true scientist should be always law abiding. Does. The true scientist always does something useful for the mankind. And the scientists are those who study nature. So the old name for a scientist was a natural philosopher. A philosopher will never do such acts. They are like setting the house on fire, the landlord's house in London, looting the shopkeeper, or stealing cash. So Griffin was neither a philosopher nor a scientist. He cannot. Therefore, he was not a true scientist either. One wonders why he did not put his discovery to some better use. He easily lost control on himself, but a scientist has to be very patient indeed. In the end, he escapes like a criminal. These things show that he was certainly not like a true scientist at all. So that's all for today. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.